Hello there! Welcome to another Thespian Reviews. And here I am, I'm Dylan the Thespian. And today, let me take you back to the year 1994. Yes. A year before the latter two original Batman sequels. Before From Dusk Till Dawn became George Clooney's best movie ever. And also before the early 2000s superhero movie craze that was kick-started by Spider-Man. So, what am I going to be talking about today after that whole spiel? Well, a little movie called The Crow. Many people consider this to be the best superhero ever made in the 90s. That was actually based off of a comic. Some people say that Batman is one of them, but let me remind you, Batman came out in 1989, not 1990, so therefore it doesn't count. But it does get a spot for being the best 80s superhero movie ever made. That was based off of a comic book. So, what's The Crow about, you might ask? Well, it's basically it's the story of a man named Eric Draven. And what happened was that a year ago, he got murdered. And during a holiday around the city that he lives, I don't know, post-apocalypse town. I really don't know. They don't give any clues as to where it is. All we know is that it's a town. And that's about it. Not much to go on. And in terms of setting. But, so anyhow, he gets murdered by a group of thugs led by T-Bird. Oh yeah, and if you're expecting the villains in here to have actually clever names, let me remind you how many times that actually happens in movies. Zero, zip, nada. Let's see, how many ways can I say no? Nada, none, zero, zip, and none, 9, and my personal favorite, man falling off of a cliff. No! So anyhow, and then a year later, he comes back from the dead. Somehow his body is not showing any signs of decay whatsoever. But you know what? Screw it. It's a good movie. So just let it ride. And so anyhow, Draven goes back to his old apartment, and where he dresses up all in black and basically looks like a goth mime. I am 100% serious on this. He looks like a goth mime, people. But whatever. He's badass. The only goth mime that is badass, by the way. And so anyhow, he comes back from the dead and is helping and wants to get revenge for his girlfriend and himself. Yeah, his girlfriend's dead too, by the way. And so anyhow, what happens is that first he finds when the guy's I don't really remember what the hell his name is, but it's something stupid. And all I remember is that the guy had dreadlocks and he threw knives. That's it. Oh, Tintin. Yeah, that's his name. Tintin. Seriously. The hell? Can you come up with any better characters, maybe? But so anyhow, after stabbing Tintin like a cut a bajillion times with his knives, he draws a crow on a shipping container near where they fought. This beat cop that used to be a detective and actually worked the case that had where Draven and his girlfriend Shelley Webster got murdered. Yeah, he worked that, and is kind of the surrogate father of this girl that Draven and Shelley were taking care of. So anyhow, after this whole encounter, Draven goes to a pawn shop to look for his wedding ring. And it's actually really clever how he breaks in, because like the pawn shop owner's just in there on the counter counting his money, and then Draven knocks on the door while quoting The Raven, which is actually pretty clever, I think. And because, come on, it's The Raven, one of the best poems ever written, and one of the only ones that I'll ever actually read on my own without any further encouragement. And so anyhow, he takes back his wedding ring, and then he takes a shotgun and this is where we see Draven's ability, well, the first of his abilities. He's invincible. Yeah, he's got a Wolverine healing factor. Like, the guy, like the pawn shop owner, shoots him in the chest a bunch of times with a revolver, and the wounds just close back up like nothing ever happened. Yeah. Up yours, Wolverine. And anyhow, after destroying the pawn shop by dropping gasoline everywhere, loading up the shotgun with rings, other wedding rings, and then blasting the gasoline, don't ask me how it works, as well as he took an amplifier and an electric guitar, because he used to be a guitarist. Don't ask me how he's going to get power for any of these things, but who gives a shit, right? And so anyhow, after axing off a bunch of other criminals, he finally gets T-Bird, where what happened was that Draven put a crap ton of explosives in T-Bird's car, and then sent the detonator up. He sent the car off the dock of off a boat dock, and it explodes in midair as he leaves what is one of the most influential calling cards in all of superhero movies, where he takes a little can of lighter fluid and he draws a crow into the cement and then lights it on fire. Yeah, The Dark Knight Rises would rip this off in not 8 years. In 18 years. Yeah. So, anyhow, the he goes up against this other guy who basically controls all of the crime in insert name here city. And what happens is pretty awesome because the guy finds out through his sister somehow that Draven's invincibility is only able to exist because of this crow that follows him around everywhere. And then after convincing Shelley's real mom to go back and take care of her kid for once in her life instead of screwing this douchebag criminal. Oh, that gives her morphine. What happens is that he ends up getting... is that the crow ends up getting murdered in the final church scene, and then Draven and long hair guy, because they never actually say his name, it's just long hair guy, duke it out on top of a church roof while it is raining, and while Sarah, the kid that Draven and Shelley were taking care of, is hanging off of the gutter. One has to ask why she didn't just move herself a little to the left and then just slide down the drainage pipe. But that's just me. And so anyhow, what happens is that, bad guy gets axed off, Draven goes back to being dead, and it ends with less than 90% of the city being destroyed! Yay! For once, a superhero movie where the superheroes actually saved someone! Dark Knight Superman! Unlike a list of films, The Avengers, Man of Steel, The Dark Knight Returns, and X-Men! So anyhow, how does the movie rate up? Well, first we're going to be dividing it into 5 categories. We have the characters, the technological aspect, the story, the fight scenes, and just overall awesomeness. Awesome fight scenes, technical awesomeness. Oh yes, and lasting impact. Well, the characters, or at least the characters of Sarah and Eric, well, let's face it, those are the 2 main characters, are really fleshed out very well, which is very surprising, because that's not typically something that you see in many action movies. Because usually, in some movies, the hero is reduced to basically a caricature of badassery, like in Dredd, where I swear Dredd's only expression is angry video game nerd frown. I'm Dredd. I am the law. I am the law. No, wrong movie, wrong movie. The Dredd jokes will not end here. They will come back when they do a review of Dredd. Sometime in the future, when I feel like it. So anyhow, the characters are very well rounded, and the actors give very good performances. Like with the drug lord, you honestly believe, hey, this is some psycho son of a bitch that will, kill someone just as soon as look at them. And that's literally what he does through most of the movie, and that's pretty awesome. And so anyhow, the Draven is also very well rounded. He's kind of a one-note character, just looking for revenge for his fiance, but you know what? I'll let it slide because it makes the character a little bit more interesting. Fight scenes. The fight scenes are done very well, especially the final one at the end. It's nowhere, but one of my favorites is when Draven just appears in this meeting room full of criminals, and it's like, I want him. Drug lord, badass mafia don guy says, well, you can't have him. Well then, one can of whoop ass coming up! As he systematically kills every single criminal in the place, as well as the evil lead crime lord's sister tries to kill the crow, and the crow flies away. Woo! But yeah, so the fight scenes and the characters, I rank both of those a 9 out of 10. The technical aspect, this movie is beautifully shot. And that's not typically something that you see very much in. And I think that the last movie that I saw that actually did this was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where they just let the scenery speak for itself. Now granted, it's not on the scale of Walter Mitty, but that's mainly due to the location. I mean, come on. Walter Mitty was in Iceland. The Crow was in, I don't know, Detroit or something like that. Honestly, it could be. Kinda looks like Detroit. And so anyhow, technical aspect, that gets a 9 out of 10 as well. Overall awesomeness, 9 out of 10. I shouldn't need to explain this to you, because if you are smart, what you've done is you've watched this review and then you've gone off and seen the movie. Either you've rented it, or you've seen it on Netflix, or you illegally downloaded it, which I'm cool with, by the way. But anyway, awesomeness factor 10. Lasting impact. Honestly, I think that this is probably this is what Batman would be like if he had superpowers and got rid of his killing people limitation, as well as lost all of his money. Yeah. Or if Wolverine just didn't have his adamantium skeleton or his bone claws. Yeah, this would be what Wolverine would be like. So anyhow, it works out really well. The lasting impact is that, it got 5 sequels made out of it, alright? So, that's gotta speak for itself, even though the movie didn't leave itself open to sequels at all. This is The Thespian, signing off with the movie, a total of 9